All right, here we are at FDC's Macquarie Park project with Jimmy Doyle. Jimmy, why don't you explain what this project is, buddy?
Hello again. This project is essentially 3 new buildings, or 1 existing building which has been refurbished and refitted out. A new accommodation buildings in R1, R2.
So that's these 2 here, this
2 on the left
this one
here,
and this one?
Yeah. Essentially that's 2 identical buildings with a combined sort of atrium area in the middle. And then 1 CC building, which is a new theatre building and various other facilities in there for universities, lecture theatres and things like that.
Nice. So there's this old existing building and there's another one just behind it, and they redid the facade and looks quite pretty. But
yeah, so behind the existing building is the actual central courtyard. That's around about 7,000 square metres of newly landscaped sort of public area. It's got precast benches and trees and all nice little features like that. The Lincoln building behind that, it used to have an old sort of eyesore facade, a bit like the one you can see there, precast panels. They actually stripped the panels back and we did a full 3D scan of the externals, from which was a new modern facade was designed.
Yep. All right. When did we start on this job, Jimmy?
This project started early last year. There was a large in-ground package with piling for both buildings. That was actually run by Tom Morris. We had some of our civil guys on that. And then from then on, we've picked up pretty much every subcontract on this project. So that's ranging from the plumber, the electrician, the landscaper. We've picked up the paving contractor. We're doing all the paving in the courtyard in the area we're stood on today. We did pick up the form worker, but we already had pretty much everything like in our sort of scope of works with FDC, or at least most of it. But then they would get us to do everything they can think of on variation rates.
Yep. All right. And who's helped you out here?
Again, it's been pretty much the majority of the construction team. We had Nick Pike, who was with us for almost the full duration of R1, R2, and he was pretty much full-time on that building. And then Mitch Herbert and Jacob Jones, they took over and did a lot of work on the last few levels. 1CC has pretty much been myself from start to finish, but again with the same names coming in and helping on the slabs, the early mornings, the double visit set-outs that we've been doing. So yeah, it's been an intense job, to say the least. Some days we'd have 3 full-time surveyors on here for a full day, so I don't think we've had any jobs where that's been the case other than this.
Yep. All right, and when's it due to finish?
Well, the structures are all completely finished. It should have already actually been finished, so they are now past the program completion date. The fit out, as you can see, 1CC, they're still down at lower ground level essentially, which is a level lower than we're stood now. So looking at that, they've still got a couple of months left on there. They've started doing the retail and finishes inside. The facade will go up quite quick. R1, R2, they're just actually working their way down now. So the top levels are fully fitted out and ready to be handed over.
Yep.
Lower levels, they've still got ground floor and level 1 to do the actual student accommodation.
Yeah, no worries. Excuse me. All right, what problems have we had, and then solutions have we had on this project?
The biggest problem on this project was probably managing our relations with the client, in that the client was actually quite a difficult client to deal with. Every single zone had its own site management team, and so you were constantly dealing with, say, 3 chiefs on any one day, and they created a bit of an us and you environment for not just us but for all subcontractors. There was no real integration between builder and subcontractors, and so it would often be the case, they'd find issues, and rather than seeing us as a part of their team, they would point the finger and we'd be guilty until proven innocent. And it's 4 or 5 occasions where that happened and we proved ourselves to not be in the wrong, and we barely got a thank you for that. But they did come good in the end and realised that we're the professionals, and we have delivered this whole job without a single issue or mistake or whatever. So.
Now, you were telling me about the column issue as we were walking up through the building over the back there. What was the column issue?
So the 1TC building is quite a unique design in that the lower ground, which is the slab on ground, it's going to get opened up into one large open area. And so they've had 4 temporary steel columns in there supporting the whole building. And then above that, there's gigantic 1200 diameter reinforced concrete columns, which are like transfer columns. And so they're basically the structural integrity of the whole building. They're going to cut the steel columns out, and they're expecting the whole building to deflect between 30 to 50 mil.
Yep.
So on the ground floor slab, those 4 columns, the position of those obviously was integral to the whole sort of structural integrity of the building. So we set out the new steel positions, and there was about a metre diameter of Rio. There were about 24 diameter bars, probably about 40 bars in there.
Jeez.
And we did our usual setup, top mat of steel, gave them centre line 4 marks, 2 marks on each axis. And then when we went to do the post pour and set the column out, we found that the column was about half a metre in the wrong spot.
So they'd post pour being they'd poured the concrete
slab,
and they've got all these
next day we come to set the column
bars
out,
coming out,
and I've realised that the steel is about half a metre in the wrong spot. And then initially the usual, we just set it out exactly. We put the steel exactly on your marks. So then when I did an as-built of the steel, I found that the centre was exactly over one of the 4 centre line marks.
So you'd recorded your set out as we do, and then you're able to overlay your recorded set out of it.
And show that it was exactly on one of 4 marks.
So they've done a really good job of putting it in the wrong spot, like quite accurately put it in the wrong spot.
And we had photos of the marks as well. So
photos?
Yeah, so that kind of nipped that in the butt pretty quickly, and we didn't hear any more of that.
Fantastic. All right, any other special features about the project? Any special learnings or? Yeah,
so it's been a job. So there is a whole nother area to this job. So we've got Mars Creek as well, which was a separable portion. That had an earlier completion date than the rest.
Yep.
So that is a full new creek that's been constructed, and it ties into a lake to the northeast of the site.
Yep.
So that was just interesting. It's got some nice feature precast, like auditorium area and stuff like that. So that was different for me to work on something like that. And then across the job, we've implemented pretty much every method of survey that we do. So the 3D scanning, and
the civil works.
Civil works, Like we go through and we're doing our post-tension kind of facade set out, which is one of the more accurate sort of requirements in any survey we do. So every level we go through and we basically do a whole new traverse through the level and close off through external marks. So it's been a demanding job, but we've ticked all the boxes as far as the client's concerned, and as we expected ourselves.
So just talking about the client, or one of the client's representatives, there's a guy here by the name of Neil Kirk, and it's a pretty good story. I don't know, probably 97, one of my first projects, running it by myself. We did it Glebe. It was probably a 3 or 4 story building down the end of Glebe Point Road, and who was the foreman but Neil Kirk, and so here we are, 23 years later, and we're still working with him. We haven't worked with him every year, and we've come across him at different St Hilliers and ADCO, and we've come across him at FDC, and it's it's good for Neil and I just to catch up, and yes, I used to do good survey work for him, and now we've got the TSS team doing good survey work for him, and he's backing us as he'll question you, but when he understands that you're right, he backs you all the way. So we had a bit of an incident, quite crucial in the survival for TSS, where we're doing Castle Hill Bunnings, and ADCO wanted to back charge us in the range of $50,000 for pads being wrong, but we were able to prove that it was the wrong revisions, but the project team still says too bad, how sad. And basically I went to Neil and just said, look, if we don't get this paid fairly quickly, we're going to go under, and we reasonably would have. And Neil went into the client and basically just said, you need to pay this before the end of the week or I'm going to walk. and lo and behold, money turned up in our account. So good story. All right, thank you very much. Thanks, Jimmy.